Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Game Sharks. I'm one of your hosts, Jimmy Good, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Mr. Corey Lang. Corey, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well, Jimmy. How's it going?
Doing just fine, Corey. It is a magical time of year, even though things have changed a little bit in the gaming industry. We're going to talk about E3, even though it's not E3 anymore, where Summer Games Fest is kind of taking over that spot. But basically, what happens every year, we talk about this typically, is like in early June, all the the big wigs, they come together and they talk about what's coming down the pipeline. And we thought it'd be fun this year to kind of do a two-part series where we kind of do like a pre-E3 show, pre-3, if you will, and kind of discuss a few things we think will happen, a few things we hope will happen. And then we will reconvene afterwards and say, like, this is what did happen, and this is what didn't happen. So hopefully this year, Corey, for the first time, our hearts will not be broken. But who knows about that? Anyway, so the way we're going to structure is we're going to have to go back and forth here, but it's just, have some fun with it. I'm going to take Microsoft and some other developers, and Corey's got Sony and Nintendo. And yeah, it's going to be great. Corey, I think we should start. I think it'd be fun to start with a little Sony action because there's some big things coming down the pipeline from them. What do you think we're going to see this year from Sony?
It's hard to say. I think so. They already announced Wolverine. That's Insomniac's new Wolverine game. I think that's a good place to start. They launched Spider-Man 2 last year, if I remember correctly. Was that a last fall game? Last fall?
Might have been, yeah.
Okay. So, I think we'll see more Wolverine. I just think it's still a year away. I think that's a 2025 game. Yeah. I think we'll probably see potentially our first gameplay reveal, kind of like the reminder trailer, like just a reminder.
Yeah.
We're working on Wolverine. Unfortunately, Insomniac had all those leaks last year, and unfortunately there is gameplay out there. If you are really interested, it's very easy to find and it's very easy to check out. And so there is some leaked gameplay footage of Wolverine out there. Obviously that's probably pre-build alpha, that could change, but it's very much exactly what you'd expect. It's like Wolverine exploring some village, and he's using his claws to climb up buildings, and he's leaping from rooftop to rooftop. So there's a lot of traversal options, which is not surprising for Insomniac, right?
Yeah.
So what we're getting is a third-person traversal-based action Wolverine game, and I'm really excited about it. And Insomniac does a great job with their characters and their stories and the gameplay. So I think that's a safe bet for Sony this summer. Whatever their showcase event is, I think we'll see more Wolverine. Do you agree? Or do you think we'll wait longer?
Yeah, no, I think you're probably right on that. I guess my question too is, and I haven't seen the gameplay, but like it always comes back to this for me. I loved X-Men Origins Wolverine, the video game, and that's like a very hard M, as it were, a very mature game. Do you think they're still gonna do that here, or are they gonna like pull their punches with the claws? Like that's what the biggest question to me is.
I think they have to go mature. I hope so, but it wouldn't surprise me if they went the other way. Disney and Marvel has really kind of loosened up. We have Deadpool 3 coming out, which is supposed to be very hard R. Yeah. So I think Disney's kind of accepting that fans want the blood and gore, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a really interesting question. I think if I had to guess, what we're gonna get is a segmented open world game where you're gonna have like open world zones. Yeah. And then there'll be like a fade to black moment, and then all of a sudden there's a cutscene and Wolverine travels to another area. I would be very surprised if it's just one open map like Spider-Man or Skyrim or Fallout, something like that. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. I love Insomniac. I love those Spider-Man games, and they do that traversal thing super well. Even Sunset Overdrive, love it or hate it, like getting around that city was just super fun. And I think we're gonna see Wolverine at this event. At least I'm fingers crossed. I'm hoping so.
Yeah, it's probably like a cinematic trailer where it's like it ends with another like Marvel superhero that you wouldn't expect, and that's how
Sure.
they cut it. Where it's like, oh my gosh, like he's teaming up with Johnny Storm. No, I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, I
Yeah.
don't. That's my
Yeah.
guess. So I would love to see gameplay though, especially if the stuff has gotten out there, like leaked stuff, so that way
Yeah.
they can be like, here's what it actually looks like.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that'd be good.
Yeah.
So
So I think we'll see Wolverine. I still think it's a year away, but we'll see. Um, we're 4 years into the console lifespan now. So,
wow.
and the funny thing is you're already hearing talks about the future of these platforms, right?
Yeah.
Which is frustrating to me because I feel like they just got going.
Yeah. Right.
Back in the day, we would wait 7 to 10 years for a new console generation. So I'm just really anxious to see how long they're going to hang out with the PS5. And if they have new hardware, they announced that PlayStation, it's not the PlayStation Go, the Portal. That's their handheld streaming device.
Okay.
And they have the PlayStation VR 2. So they've launched some new hardware recently. So I'll be curious to see if we get any updates on those two pieces of hardware. One of the big critiques I've heard with PlayStation VR 2 is that the hardware is excellent, but they haven't been supporting it with software. So they had, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's one first-party game for the PSVR 2, and I think it's that Horizon game.
You might be right, and I've actually tried it, so like I can at least attest to that. Yeah.
So it's like, really, Sony, like you launched this great product, but you're not supporting it with software, which is totally on brand with them. They did it with the first VR, so possibly some PSVR 2 games at this showcase. If I had to guess, I think we'll see something. I know a lot of third-party developers are patching in updates for their games, like Resident Evil Village. They re-released that Resident Evil 6 remake with a VR 2 version. So I know Capcom's been really supporting the PlayStation VR 2, but it'd be nice to see Sony, put some first-party stuff out for that. But
was it Resident Evil 6 or 7?
I'm sorry. Did I say 6? So they did the Village update.
Yes. Okay.
And Resident Evil 4 remake is what I meant.
Okay, cool. I was like,
Sorry.
Wasn't that the one that people didn't like? I was like, did they do a VR version of that? I was like,
apologize.
That was a bold
I misspoke.
move, I was like, I totally missed this.
Not 6. 7, they did do a VR update, but I see, this is the problem, Jimmy. There's too many Resident Evil remakes.
There's so many Resident. There's so much, man. There's so much. Yeah.
So they did the Resident Evil 4 remake, which was great, and then they did a VR 2 release of that as well. So
okay.
So I think there's like at least 2 or 3 Resident Evil games that you can play on the VR 2, PlayStation VR 2. So, moving forward, I think that long rumored Bloodborne remake, the team that put out that Demon's Souls remake, which was a launch title for PlayStation 5, now there's rumors that they've been working on this Bloodborne remake. People have been asking for it. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something on that or some sort of announcement.
Yeah.
We know that team is working on some sort of remaster. It seems pretty obvious that it's Bloodborne. But we'll see. That could go either way. I'm not entirely sure.
Give me that 60 frames per second. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Please.
Yeah, or even a PC port would be great, but
that would be good.
Yeah, don't hold your breath. But so I think we'll see what that team's working on. Maybe something from Sony Bend, who worked on what was the open world zombie motorcycle game?
Right as you said it, I was like thinking, like, what is the name of that? I know what you're talking about.
Sorry, I should have had this written down.
No, it's fine. I'll look it up. It's all right. You keep talking.
Yeah. So that team has obviously been working on something, and it's been several years since that game that you're about to tell me came out. So possibly announcement from that team.
Days Gone.
Thank you. Days Gone.
That sounds. I was like, it's something like that. Here we go. We figured it out. We knew.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, it's tough to say. They've been consistently putting out excellent first party games. We
Yeah.
recently got God of War, Valhalla. Valhalla,
Ragnarok.
right? Ragnarok, thank you.
Yeah.
Ragnarok. I just saw Mad Max last night, so I had the word Valhalla in my
Dude,
brain.
it's yeah, witness me, dude.
Yeah,
Witness
yeah,
me.
yeah, exactly. So I don't think we'll see a God of War. I think it's too early on that. They just put out that DLC for that, so I
Oh
think we're
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to say. Sucker Punch, Ghost of Tsushima, that came out what, 20, was that 2020?
That's a few years ago now.
2021, 2020,
Yeah.
2021. So, possibly a follow-up from what Sucker Punch is doing.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think it's gonna be Ghost of Tsushima 2 or something completely different?
I've heard rumors they're going back to Infamous. You know, I don't think they're gonna do a Ghost of Tsushima 2. I don't.
Yeah.
Because I
I don't think
think they
so.
know that Assassin's Creed's working on this feudal Japan game.
Yeah.
And I don't think they want to oversaturate that market. I mean, Team Ninja's been putting out all of these, it's almost hard to keep up with all these Team Ninja games that they've been putting
Yeah.
out with Neo and Neo 2, and then they just put out another open world samurai game that
Yes.
I can't even think of the name. That's the
Was
problem.
that Rise of the Ronin? Is that
Thank
the
you,
one?
Rise of the
Okay.
Ronin. So, 10 years ago, everybody wanted these games, and now
Yeah.
there's an abundance.
Yeah.
So, if I had to guess, Sucker Punch is probably doing something different,
Hmm.
but yeah, we'll see. I could be wrong. Um, yeah, I think those are the predictions I have for Sony. I think we're gonna see Wolverine, and I think we're gonna see whatever the Demon Souls remake team is working on, which is probably a Bloodborne
Yeah.
and some PSVR 2 stuff. I think that's what they're gonna do.
Is there any chance you think that they're going to talk about like a new kind of pillar as so like insofar as like not Horizon, like another Horizon, but a game like Horizon? Or do you think it's like we have our 4 or 5 kind of big things right now and they're kind of in a cycle and we just kind of let the cycle play out,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, hard to say, right? It's anybody's
Yeah.
guess. That's why it's
Yeah.
fun to predict these things. I mean, they could drop some crazy new IP that blows everybody away and
Yeah.
harnesses the true power of the PS5, and it would not surprise me. I mean, that's what Sony does best, is their first
Yeah.
party titles.
Is there another
So
Ratchet and Clank game coming? That's the other question.
I would love that, but I doubt it. I think it's
Yeah.
Wolverine. I think it's all hands on deck
Yeah.
for Wolverine, but who knows? I mean, you know what? If we did see something from Ratchet, I think it would be a PSVR 2 experience. That would be my
Oh.
guess.
Hmm.
That would be my guess, and that would be very cool. And that's what that platform needs is
Yeah.
some, either another Astrobot game or another, some sort of Ratchet and Clank experience. Um, I love VR, but I have not had just even an ounce of temptation to go buy that thing because there's just
Yeah.
no games to play on it. That Horizon thing they put out is just not enough. So,
That's cool. I'll say this
Yeah.
much. I have not had enough time in VR because it still really messes me up. Like after I get out of it, I'm like, I can't do that for a while.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, yeah, it's like a 20 to 30 minute thing, and then you got to get out.
exactly. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. And hey,
Yeah.
that Horizon climbing the mountain thing I was doing, I was like, it was pretty cool. It was really
Yeah.
cool. But I was like, shooting the bow and arrow felt really nice. I was like, all right,
Yeah.
this is cool. But then I was like, I'm gonna break something. Like I don't own one. My friends own one. So I was like, I'm gonna break
Yeah.
something in their very nice house. Like I'm
Yeah.
going to destroy their amazing television. I'm sorry. And I also tried the Star Wars VR game, like the
Oh,
one where you
yeah.
have like a blaster and stuff. It was
Yeah.
also difficult. So, but again, I was jumping in to these games like a little bit later, at least with Star Wars. So I was like, I don't, what do I do? How do I even
Yeah.
play?
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Yeah. 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 It's one of those things that I've purchased in the past, and they're fun for a while, and then they sit and collect dust. And unless you have a really strong catalog of games that you want to go back to, then it's a no buy for me. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's all I have for Sony.
Fair enough.
It's really hard to say. They could come out with some Final Fantasy 16 update or something, or
Sure.
some sort of DLC for Final Fantasy, which would not surprise me, or They just put out the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Is it Rebirth? Or
Yes. Yep.
Rebirth. So we could see something on that, something further on that. But yeah, I think that's all I have.
Cool. Yeah, I hope I don't have a PlayStation 5 right now, but one day when I get one, Corey, I'll be able to play all these amazing games like God of War Ragnarok. I could play on my PS4. I'm scared, Corey. I don't want my PS4 to shoot off into the sky, into the
You want to burn the
stratosphere.
house down?
I'm worried because the last few times I booted it up, it's making noises, and I was like,
Yeah.
I
Is it
gotta
the
go.
Pro or just the OG PS4?
The OG.
Oh,
It's the
you might as
OG.
well wait.
Yeah, exactly. I still have to beat Dragon Quest 11, Corey. I had the true final boss, and I was grinding to get strong enough to beat him, and then it sounded really weird, and I never went back. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, Sony. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful, man. I'm always hopeful because I want the console to, continue to fight against each other because it makes better stuff.
Well, sorry. One other minor prediction. I think somebody's working on a new Uncharted game.
Ooh. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that's something we might see. I feel that in my bones. I don't know why. I don't think it's Naughty Dog.
Sure.
But they did that Vita game with a different developer, and it worked out just fine. That was a great
Yeah.
game. So it'd be really fun to see Uncharted come back. So
Possible. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, with these bigger franchises, it's not like it has to be the studio that made it that keeps making it, which ideally it would be, but it makes sense that might not be the case. All right, well, I think we should shift gears to Microsoft. I'm so sorry I have to do it. That's what I'm gonna start with. Gears 6 or Gears of War 6. I mean, they changed the naming not too long ago, Corey, from Gears of War to just Gears, but it'll always be Gears of War to me. Gears 6, I think, is getting announced one way or another. The Coalition, I think, has been working a long time on this, and they renamed the studio or made the studio with that name. So it's they make Gears of War games. Basically, it's been, I think someone said it was 5 years or something since Gears 5, something like that. It's a long time, especially for a flagship franchise like Gears on Xbox. So I think Gears 6 is almost a no-brainer. The real questions come in the form of, for me, how many people can play the campaign together, and what kind of games as a service are they going to try to turn it into? Because it feels like that is the way forward for a lot of these things, and some have been successful and others have been not so much. Unfortunately, Halo Infinite, I think, had a problem with that because that game released I forget what was it, Corey? It was the multiplayer was first and then the campaign, or vice versa. They split it into two things. And please don't do that with Gears. I don't think they will, because Gears is not the same echelon as Halo, but I just think don't. Please, one full complete package, please. I beg you. But I think Gear 6 is almost a no-brainer, and it's a great way to showcase off, it's weirdly kind of like their Ratchet and Clank in a way. It's their technical showcase besides a Forza game. You can be look at how beautiful this game is, and it's running at 60 frames or uncapped or whatever. So yeah, I think Gears 6 is coming. And there's always the potential too of a Gears Tactics 2, which I was a really big fan of Gears Tactics. I think I played a little bit on console, but I mostly played on PC. It's XCOM Gears, but yeah, that was a really cool game. So I'd love to see more of that. I'd love to see more games in the franchise that aren't necessarily third-person shooter, even though that's my absolute favorite. I still think it's cool to, change it up a little bit, but I think Gears 6 is coming. The question is, Corey, would Gears 6 get you excited, or would you be yeah, it's another Gears, cool?
No, very excited. It's the one thing that I want to see. We have not gotten a proper Series X Gears from the ground up. I think the last one was fall of 2019, and then they did the Series SX patch. If I remember correctly.
What it is. You might be right.
So technically that was still a Xbox One game.
Jeez, Lou.
So, I mean, I think those games run and look gorgeous on the new platform, but yeah. If I had one wish from an Xbox showcase, I want a new Gears game.
Yeah.
And I would be so stoked for that. So, yep, 100%. I'm with you.
I just recently replayed through Gears 5 and Hive Busters. Now, Hive Busters was like this mini campaign that was kind of like the showcase for Series X and stuff.
Right.
So an entire game like that would be
Insane.
yeah, that would be really good. And also, I mean, it's too late for this, but Coalition and Xbox and Microsoft and Phil, I know you're watching. Please, less robots. I want to attack the squishy things, not the robots, please. I just it's not Terminator. I'm sorry. It's just not the same, Corey. It's not the same visceral feeling. Anyway, Gear 6, it's almost a foregone conclusion. I think that is their really big thing to show off. And what does that look like here? It's, cinematic trailer and then probably gameplay trailer. Like, I really think you do both. You do the story trailer for a minute or two, and then you, here's what Gear 6 looks like. Here's what our multiplayer is going to be like, and here's Horde, and here's the new mode or two or whatever it might be. That's, I think, a pretty foregone conclusion. Another one we've been waiting a long time to see actual gameplay of is Fable. Now, we have a cinematic trailer for it and maybe have like a hint or two of maybe some gameplay. It looks like a pretty different, at least art direction, than the original Lionhead Studios versions of the game. But I think we see Fable no matter what this time around. Because again, that game, oh my gosh. How many years ago, Corey, was it where they like teased it? It was like a 30-second or a minute-long cinematic teaser, and at the very end, they showed those Fable like years and years ago, like 2017 or something, 2018. And yeah, I think we have to see what Playground's been doing besides, the Forza games. I really think it's coming. Was Fable one that you'd be excited about?
Yeah, totally. Fable 2 was one of my favorite games on the 360, and
so good.
I mean, the first 3 games are great. I mean, they're 2 is my favorite, but yeah, we got that quirky kind of was it an in-game story trailer, or was it just a cutscene trailer? I can't remember.
Yeah, I thought it was cutscene, but then they always say like, we used with in-engine footage or something.
Right.
I never know. know.
Yeah, it had some strong Lionhead vibes. It's going for that. It's going for that quirky British humorous thing that Lionhead did so well, minus Peter Molyneux. So yeah, nope, I'm all in on Fable. It's funny to think that Xbox has been lagging with the first party exclusives on this new platform, but the ones they have in the hopper are the ones that I'm the most excited about, probably out of all of these platforms, maybe minus Nintendo. But between Gears, Fable, and just in case you don't mention Perfect Dark, they're obviously, not to steal your thunder, but they're also working on a Perfect Dark remake that I'm excited about. So it's like between those 3 games, I'm thrilled, and I hope we get to see more.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. Fable is also very close to me in my heart, so like seeing even those trailers, I was like, ooh, it looks a bit different. But again, we gotta wait to see what it looks like. Who the heck knows? I don't know. And also co-op campaign, guys, come on. I understand that we're living in a different world these days, but like, please think about it. But you bring up Perfect Dark. That's a great thing. I wasn't actually going to mention that, but I'm glad you did. I would be excited to try that because one of my issues going back to Perfect Dark was that it's like an N64 game, right? Like, and I love N64. It's my favorite console of all time, but it was hard, like a first-person shooter on. I was like, so that'd be nice. I would totally try that, especially if it's on Game Pass. Why the heck not?
Yeah. Well, I remember when the 360 was coming out, circa 2005, 2006, something like that.
Yeah.
And I was just drooling over screenshots of Perfect Dark Zero.
Oh yes,
which was a launch title for 360, and it wasn't like an amazing game. Call of Duty 2 launched right beside it, and that was, in terms of like gameplay mechanics, far superior than Perfect Dark Zero. But Perfect Dark Zero looked incredible running on 360. I don't know if you played it back in the day, but
I did.
I think it was probably the best looking out of the launch titles that came out for 360.
Okay.
Maybe minus Call of Duty 2, but and Gears of War obviously came later, but which blew everything out of the water in terms of visual fidelity on Xbox. But yeah, Perfect Dark, man, I don't know much about the developer that's putting this together, but I'm very, like you said, cautiously optimistic.
Right. That's the way
So
we gotta just go into these things because we
yeah,
never know. I feel like I don't know. I've been burned a lot in the past, Corey. When I was
yeah,
younger, back around like 2005, every time I'd
yeah,
watch these E3s, I would see all those cinematic trailers and get so excited. And then you'd see
yeah,
like the actual game, and you're like, no game is gonna look like the cinematic trailer, or
yeah.
we're getting closer. But
Right,
yeah, you have to
right.
remember what it's actually going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, Oh, do you have another point on that?
No, just on Perfect. Just one final thought on Perfect Dark. They've always
Yeah,
had like a visual benchmark, kind of. That's what those games were known for,
Mhm.
was the graphics. So, I think that's what's delaying that game. Is I think they're really pushing hard to make that a visual showpiece.
Sure.
So that was the only final thought that I had. But yeah,
Yeah, they're trying to make it their own version of Crisis. Like they're
yeah,
like, all right, we need to make our first-person beautiful shooter and make
yeah,
sure that people understand it and it draws people in. Because if you can
yeah.
get a first-person shooter that's exclusive, or at least Xbox and PC,
Mhm,
that will draw people in. I think.
mhm.
One that I did want to bring up because I thought it was something you would also be interested in. We've seen plenty of gameplay on this and stuff, and I believe it's coming out later this year, supposedly. Avowed,
Mm,
which again is one of those interesting things where we had, I almost call it Skyrim, Starfield last year, and obviously it's like Bethesda, and this is not necessarily that, but like there's still kind of that heritage with the Fallout New Vegas stuff, and like I said, we've seen gameplay. I think we get a release date. I think we get a hard release date, and then maybe some more gameplay and whatever else. But this is a single player, first person kind of fantasy role playing game, and I'm sure there are still many of those out there. I just don't know of many high profile ones. And this one is higher profile. I wouldn't say it's like super super high profile, but I would say it's something to like keep our eyes on, and it's something that a lot of people have been waiting for. And I think you're one of them, Corey.
Yeah, I'm really excited about Avowed. I'm hoping it's in that 30 to 40 hour range, and not the
Yeah.
100 to 200 hour range. Which I think it is going to be the former, knowing Obsidian and their history.
Yeah.
What was that last Fallout style game that they put out that people really loved?
Oh,
Um,
Outer Wilds?
was it Outer Wilds or Outer Worlds?
It might be Outer Worlds.
I think it's
I
Outer
always get it
Worlds,
confused.
but
You might be right. It's Outer
yeah,
Worlds. I think Outer Wilds is a completely different thing.
yeah, Outer
Got me
Worlds.
again. Mhm.
Yeah, no worries. But that was another sort of open world RPG, excuse me, that was very digestible.
Yeah.
20 to 30 hours long, depending on how many side quests you do. And going into my 40s, Jimmy, I tell you, I I just can't do it with these 100, 200 hour RPGs anymore. That's
Yeah.
exactly why I skipped Dragon's Dogma 2, because I just know that I'm going to spend $70. I'm going to play it for 10, 20 hours, and I'm never going to finish it.
Yeah.
So, yes, please bring on the 20 to 30 hour RPGs. I love that. And
Yeah.
I think that's what Avowed is going to be. And
Yeah.
that is exciting.
Yeah, and I think kind of going into it with that mindset of being like, yeah, this is still like a highly polished and good looking game, but not expecting it to be 200 hours and have it like a budget that's like $5 billion or whatever. It's like, all right, here's what it is. We know what it is. Don't come expecting like Oblivion or something, but it's still going to be, pretty good for what it is. And stuff like that, I think, plays super well on retaining Game Pass subscriptions. At least to me, it's kind of like dropping like an hour and a half pretty good movie on like Netflix or Amazon or something that people are like, oh, this is pretty good. I like this. I didn't like wait, years and years to see it. It's not like Dune Part 2 where you're like, I need it. But I think it also really bolsters that lineup. And it's another thing you can show off when you're like, hey, if you like get Game Pass, you can play this cool game, or you can buy it outright, So I'm looking forward to it too. I'm interested to try it out. I know it's a simple mechanic, but the idea of like dual wielding is cool to me. And for some odd reason, it's not done very often. Where it's like, oh, you can have a staff in one hand, a sword in another, and you can do. I'm like, okay, that's fun. Doesn't need to be more than that. I'm fine with that. Those are the biggest things I can think about for Microsoft right now. I really don't think we're getting any Halo stuff. Usually when they like have done like Halo in the past, they'll kind of leave Gears sometimes to like kind of do its own thing, or Forza to do its own thing. And I forget when the next Forza is coming out. I'm so behind on all of that stuff too. So who knows? I'm sure we'll get DLC for a lot of these games though too that they like announce. But those are the biggest things I can think about for Microsoft. Like I said before, it all comes back to Gears for me. I really think this is the time to show that off, like to really bring it and be like, all right, here's like a 15-minute thing on this. You know, even though most people, such as myself, know what to expect, there's never enough Gears if done correctly. So please, less robots. Please, I beg you. Is there anything else from Microsoft, Corey, that you would like to see or are like hoping to see? Is there like a dream scenario?
So was that Blade game that they announced
Oh,
at the Game Awards? Was that a Sony or no? I'm sorry, Microsoft exclusive? It was, wasn't it?
I thought it was or something
that
weird like that.
Yeah, because that was a Bethesda published owned developer.
I
Maybe
thought
I'm
so.
getting my wires crossed.
I'm gonna check though.
Yeah, look into that because that would be something that I would very much like to see more of. But I can't remember if that's multi-platform or if that is a Xbox exclusive.
It was developed by Leon, and published by Bethesda. Or yeah,
Arcane is owned by Microsoft now, correct?
Yeah, but
they just closed one of the Arcane studios, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, so I don't know what's gonna happen with this. So yeah.
So they kept the studio open that's working on Blade.
Okay.
But what I don't know is if that is multi-platform or if that is an Xbox exclusive. But
apparently they haven't confirmed yet.
Yes. Okay. I would love to see more of Blade, although it's probably a little early because I think they announced that as a 2025 game. But yeah, no, I think you nailed it between Gears and Fable. Those are the top two that I would love to see more. So good picks on those. I think that's a no-brainer. So
yeah, I hope so. I forgot that Blade's it's supposed to be mature third-person action, so Devil May Cry-ish.
Oh, cool.
Maybe,
that would be
sort
cool.
of, kind of. I don't know. If it's more shooter or like slicing.
Right.
I imagine more slicing with some shooting. I don't know. It's
well,
one of those things.
Sword.
Yeah, well, it's so funny because like I'm still in that weird mindset where like Xbox green, PlayStation red, even though PlayStation's turned to like blue. I think I just grew up with like, oh, Yoda is in Soul Calibur on Xbox and Darth Vader is in Soul Calibur on PlayStation. So when I think of Blade,
right,
I almost wish they had like a Hulk game.
Yeah,
that was for Xbox. Even like I don't know, just how my brain works. I'm like, or like a Green Goblin game. That'd be amazing.
That would be amazing.
Is bought out for like one game by Microsoft. Oh, people lose their minds. But yeah, I would like to see that Blade game. That'd be cool. Yeah, because there's so many things that they've been working on, and Microsoft was in the business for a couple of years of just acquiring a ton of studios, and unfortunately they just shut down like Tango Gameworks, who worked on and put out Hi-Fi Rush last year. But yeah, like there's so many studios working on things. It's like it's probably a good time to see what those are. You know, I'm hopeful anyway. But yeah, I'd also love it if like, where is Banjo-Kazooie? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, is that too weird? Is it too like is the assumption it's still too Nintendo-ish, or is there a chance to do more Banjo stuff? I don't know. Is that nuts? Is that crazy?
I don't think so. I mean, they redid that Battletoads game. It's Rare is doing Sea of Thieves, correct? That's an ongoing games of service, live service game thing.
That's their baby.
So I'm assuming they're all hands on deck with that. But I grew up in the era of 3D platformers. I love them. I will play all of them if I can. So yes, please bring more Banjo-Kazooie. That would be incredible.
Yeah, we had Ukulele, and then they make a sequel for that too? I forget, because it was like former Banjo-Kazooie devs who worked on that.
Yeah.
But it's just like there's obviously people out there who'd still make it and still buy it. It just might not be the same, fever pitch. But I feel like even just doing something Banjo-Kazooie related would be like throwing a bone to a lot of people who are just like, I miss that franchise, anything would be good. Like put Banjo and Gears, Banjo-Kazooie and Gears. It's exactly what Kazooie's, just like with a chainsaw.
Amazing.
I bet there's a mod for that. But yeah, probably. I just think that's one thing Microsoft doesn't really have. Maybe Sony not as much either, besides like Sackboy or something, but like kind of cutesy mascot thing. Like Nintendo's got like that whole thing. Like it's like if you want a cutesy mascot, Nintendo's got like 1,000 of them. It's like just pick your poison.
Well, and
But
Sony just like in the shadows created a new huge 3D platforming franchise too with Astro Bot. So
yeah,
and
right.
that's been a huge hit, and it was a free pack in for the PS5, and it's still like top 5 best PS5 games. Like it's incredible. So
It's like their version kind of like the Wii Sports or whatever.
yeah,
Or whatever, like the kind of like early launchish title thing or whatever. And it was just like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, this is one of the best games you ever put out.
yeah.
Was it Wii Sports or Me Sports?
It was
Me
Wii
Sports?
Sports.
It's Wii Sports. Okay, good. I'm
Hmm.
not nuts. That
Yeah,
tennis, man, was so good.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of my predictions, thoughts for Microsoft. Like I said, I'm hopeful. I hope it's great. I hope it's fantastic. It shows me lots of Gears and Fable, maybe some Avowed. I guess you put Fable early and Avowed later just to break it up a little bit, but yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. Okay, now we're done talking about Microsoft. Corey, I want to get into this little developer. You've heard of them, I've heard of them. They're called Nintendo. Nintendo.
They're new.
That's what it is. They're new.
Yeah, new to the scene. Yeah,
I love a good upstart though. Let's see if they can bring something fun
Yeah.
to the table.
they're underdogs. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess first question is, before we get to the software, is there Switch 2 announcement? Does it happen now, or is it Nintendo style that they're like, you know what, on some random Tuesday morning, we're just gonna be like, oh, by the way, we're doing this. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think so, unfortunately. There was talks and rumors that there was a delay in the announcement due to like hardware like component shortages potentially,
Ah,
or like the components that they wanted for the new platform had some issues or some sort of delay. So I did hear that they want to get it out in like fiscal 2024, at least announce it. So
sure.
if I had to guess, it's such a tough call, man. You would think that this would be the time to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they were planning, but reports are coming out now that they're not going to do it. So then it brings you like, okay, well, do they announce it like early 2025 and get it out in like March or April? Kind of seems that's to be the case. So yeah, the hardware, man, that could go either way. It's
Yeah.
so tough to say. But having said that, I do think that we're gonna see Metroid Prime 4.
There you go.
I think we're gonna see it. I think they have it ready for Switch. Will it have an upscaled version for the Switch 2? Probably.
Mhm.
But I think that's gonna be their big fall game. That's just my prediction. I think they've waited long enough, and I think they've been working on it for Switch for so long that I think they most likely have it optimized by now. And it's just gonna get better from there with the new platform, with upscaling and all that stuff. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see some new big Mario game this year. I think they're gonna save that for the new Switch. That's just that's my prediction. I could be wrong. I think they're working on a new Mario game. I think they're probably working on a new Mario Kart as well.
Yeah.
And I think we're gonna get one of the B team games this year. The B Squad
Sure.
is gonna fill in. So, I think we're gonna see Metroid Prime 4, and then like maybe like a Star Fox game or something like that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
They announced that Paper Mario game that's like, I think it's out, but at the time of this recording, I think it came out today or next
Okay.
week.
Yeah.
Thousand Year Door, which I'm actually looking forward to, because I never played that back on GameCube. But yeah, I think we're at the end of the Switch's life cycle. I don't think they're going to drop any major heavy hitters. I think Metroid Prime 4 it's a heavy hitter, but not as heavy as like a Mario Kart or a Smash Brothers. I think we're gonna see. I think what the picture I'm painting is, I think Nintendo's about to have a massive 2025.
Okay.
And,
Right.
just my prediction. Maybe some like Tears of the Kingdom DLC.
Mhm.
That seems like a pretty no-brainer. I think that game's had enough time to breathe now where they probably have some new content to show.
Hmm.
And I know they have a new Splatoon coming, Splatoon 3, right? That's a thing. I'm not crazy.
Yeah, I think so.
They,
Yeah,
they
yeah, it's on
announced
its way.
that.
Yeah.
And that was announced for Switch, so we'll probably
Mhm.
see more on that. Yeah, I think that, I don't have a whole lot of thoughts on Nintendo because they're in such a weird position where we know there's a new platform coming. It's just a matter of, what are the launch games? Um, I think a Smash Brothers is definitely being worked on. I just don't think that stuff is going to come out this year.
Yeah.
So if I had to guess for this year, I'm thinking Metroid Prime 4 and Splatoon 3 and
Okay.
some Zelda DLC. And probably some ports and indies, the usual
Mhm.
stuff that you'd expect. But
Yeah.
how about you? Do you have any hot takes?
I think they're not even going to do Zelda DLC, Corey. They're going to release new footage and gameplay of the third and final installment of this new batch of Zelda games called Dew of the Mountain. It'll be their largest game to scale. It's going to contain 4 different worlds. It's going to be,
Wow.
yeah, they've quietly
Crazy.
been working on it. I'm
Nice.
very excited. It's going to
Sweet.
cost only
You
$50.
heard it here first.
Yeah, only $50 because they're like, we love you and we want to. You've shown
Wow.
us so much love, and we're gonna give that love back. So, Nintendo,
Amazing. I love the
balls in your
wishful
court.
thinking.
Exactly. Like never happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
here's one thing. I'm a huge Smash Brothers fan, and I keep hearing this like rumor of it being like a new Smash on Switch 2. I thought Smash Ultimate was kind of like weirdly like the ending. I knew what they were kind of like. Yeah, this is like the ultimate Smash game, right? And we're
Yeah.
never gonna make another. I don't know. Am I nuts? Is there a Smash Bros. Game coming, Corey? Tell me, please.
Who's the famous guy he's like a meme at this point that developed
Sakurai.
Sakurai, yeah.
Yeah.
He's the Kid Icarus guy as well, but
Poor guy.
every year you hear he comes out of retirement. And was that an Animal Kingdom mug, by the way?
Yes, this is an Animal Kingdom Lodge mug.
Ooh, nice. Love it. Love it.
Thanks to our
Um,
sponsors. I'm just kidding. That'd be amazing. If Walt Disney World wants to sponsor this video game podcast,
Perfect.
we'd love it.
Love it. Yeah. I don't think that guy will ever retire, Sakurai.
No.
The last time I heard, and I could be wrong, was that he was coming back out of retirement to work on more Smash Brothers.
Okay.
And money talks, and
Yeah.
I genuinely think he loves that franchise with every cell of his being. And I think if I had to guess, I think what they'll do is they'll take Ultimate, the DNA of Ultimate, the groundwork, all the work that they've done, and just transition that into the next phase. So I think if I had to guess, a lot of that work is probably done. And, unless we're talking about like from the ground up new character models, which that would take, an extreme amount of work. So if I had to guess, they're going to take Ultimate, they're going to polish that up, rebrand it, and do something new with it. But I could be wrong. That maybe they'll do a whole new Smash Brothers from the ground up. Who can say?
Well, I usually don't like to share these leaks on the show, but I do know a little information about Smash Bros. It sounds like it's going to be all of Ultimate characters, but they're going to include now, as individual characters, every single Pokemon that has ever existed.
Nice.
It's going to be very amazing. So that's like 700 to 800 new characters right there. Shiny variants.
Jeez, Sakurai's
so
gonna
great.
be busy.
They're like, he's like sitting there. He has to release like videos. He's like, all right, so this is a 5-minute video how Caterpie works. So Caterpie's over B is this,
Right.
and he's like, really hard, but we figured it out.
Man.
No,
Yeah, he's not sleeping for the next 5 years.
no, he's on his. He's on, like, I think he even famously said that he's like on a treadmill or like a bike machine, and he has to like multitask while he like works, so he can like still work out. And I was
Yeah, there
like,
you
oh
go.
my gosh, that's like, it's hard to fathom the amount of work that goes into these games. And kind of like movies and stuff too, it's like they work on them for years, and then it comes out, and then it's like immediately like decisions have been made, and people have decided if they like it or if they're like, we're moving on. And it's like, I just spent 5 years of my life on that. Okay, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
But Nintendo, I think you're right. 2025 is probably going to be their big year, and I think holding back and not saying like, oh, we're gonna make a compromised version of the next Mario to put out just to put it on Switch. I think, or maybe they'll cross-platform it. I don't know, but I don't think they show it until they're like, here's the one on Switch 2. Also, if you have a Switch, but we'll see. We'll see. Kind of like Breath of the Wild was like that, right? They showed it first for Wii U, and then they had a Wii U version of it.
Yeah.
But it still was like a Switch game, so.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of crossover, backwards compatibility stuff. It's going to be some weird 2 years where everything is just compatible on, and
both.
The thing that they probably won't do is if they have like a Switch 2 exclusive game that will not run on the previous Switch. Like, they're not going to do that because then they would jeopardize sales of their new platform, which would be stupid, and they would never do that. So, I think moving forward, games that are released now will work on the Switch 2, but not the other way, obviously.
Sure.
So, I don't think we're going to get anything major this year. I really don't. I think Metroid Prime 4 would be a major deal. That would be a big deal, but not on the scale of Mario Smash or Mario Kart.
Yeah.
I think they're saving those. They're saving the big guns for next year, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
I know there's some stuff that's already been announced. Forgive me, I don't know if it's out. Like, I think they put out that new Princess Peach game.
Yes,
and
I think so.
Yep, they put that out. I think they announced Luigi's Mansion 3, the Switch version. Is it Luigi's Mansion 3 or is it? No, wait, no, 3. I'm sorry. I'm getting things screwed up. 3 came up for the Switch. I think they announced Dark Moon Remaster, which was the 3DS version.
That's what it is.
That's coming to Switch. So they have a lot of ports and upgrades, and it's hard to keep up with all these, remasters and stuff.
Right.
But the picture I'm painting, it's very obvious we're at the end of the life cycle of the Switch. And I think we're going to get one more last hurrah, and I think it's going to be Metroid Prime 4, which will also work on the future platform. So, any other predictions you can think of for Nintendo? That's kind of all I had was Prime, and I think Zelda DLC is a pretty obvious choice, but
I think it's a good choice too.
Yeah, and we already know Splatoon is coming, so I think that's what this fall is going to look like. I think that's what we're going to see.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there too. Yeah. I don't really have any other predictions on. Well, but that being said, we've moved through the big three pretty well, I think. Let's get to some other kind of smaller, like hopeful things, and some other developers. I always like to talk about Ubisoft, Corey, because Ubisoft and we go ways back, and I'll never forget seeing the first Assassin's Creed all the way back in 2006 or something.
Yeah, it was on the front of Game Informer. I just remember staring at those screenshots.
So cool. And that's the first thing I want to talk about. And okay, Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I just saw the there's like a cinematic trailer for it recently. I think we get gameplay. I think they, if it's coming in November, I think they do a 5, 7, 10-minute gameplay reveal and just say like, here's what it's like. There's 2 main characters. I'm sure they show the dichotomy of those 2 characters and how you switch between them. If that's how it works, no idea. But I'm guessing it's, Grand Theft Auto-ish in that regard, or maybe Spider-Man 2 in that regard. I don't know, but that's kind of my guess. We've been waiting. I've been waiting. A lot of people have been waiting. Ubisoft's been waiting to make a feudal Japan like Assassin's Creed for ages. They've teased it in other games for so long, and it's kind of like this weird thing that I think, honestly, they were like, all right, we got to wait for the right time to do it. And also with Ghost of Tsushima that came out a few years ago, one of my favorite games of that generation. I think there was like, all right, like we got to let that kind of breathe, even though it's not exactly the same thing, but we got to let it breathe, and then we can come in and do it because, don't want to oversaturate the market. But yeah, I think Assassin's Creed Shadows. Corey, do you think they'll show something like gameplay-wise on this?
It's weird to me that they just dropped that trailer.
Yeah.
If they're gonna have more, I mean, maybe it was just to dip the toe in the water and get people excited. Actually, I should ask the question, has Ubisoft announced, or are we just assuming that they're going to have a direct?
No, they're gonna have a Ubisoft Forward or something.
Forward. Okay, so that's not through Jeff Keighley's Summer of Games. This is a separate Ubisoft thing.
Yeah, but like it's framed as part of the Summer Games. I think it's being covered by Summer Games Fest.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
So
okay.
It's like remember how like E3 was a different thing than like any of the press events?
Yes.
But like it's still
right. Okay.
Yeah, so I believe
good. That's good clarification. Okay,
yeah.
Good. Yeah, hard to say. So I'm sorry. Did I miss something? Is that game announced for this fall?
Yeah, November 15th, I think.
November 15th. Oh, then I think it's very safe to say we'll see gameplay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say yes. Yes.
Yeah. I just think like, you're right. It's interesting that they dropped that. Maybe it was just to kind of say like, all right, it's coming. We want you to be excited about that for this event, and then you'll come into it having that knowledge, and we can show a truncated version of the trailer and then get right to the gameplay and be like, here it is.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, though. I've been waiting for something like this for a while. The real question I have is, does it fall in line with the more RPG-like stuff of the last kind of really big 3 Assassin's Creed, or is it more like Assassin's Creed Mirage, which I really enjoyed, which was kind of more back to basics?
Right.
Kind of hoping for that one, to be honest with you. But
right.
When I play Assassin's Creed, Corey, I want to assassinate and not have it do like a chunk of damage to a health bar. I want it to, like, if I drop down from 4 stories and land on you with my blade, I don't want it to be like, oh, you took that much. Like, that's just me. I don't know. It's part of the fantasy, Corey. But before we move to the next things, is there like a specific type or time period for Assassin's Creed that you would like that they haven't done yet? You'd be like, oh,
my God, it's like they've covered everything. I can't.
Yeah, they've covered a lot.
Yeah, I
have.
It's a good question. I
ask myself it too. I don't even know.
Yeah, not off the top of my head. I mean, they did the Roman Empire stuff. They did the Egypt stuff. They did the stuff in London with the Revolution, or what was the one that took place in London?
Syndicate,
thank you, which was very cool setting. Boy, not that I can think of. No, not off the top of my head. I mean, the feudal Japan stuff is what everybody's been asking for.
Yeah,
like this is the one that people have been asking for since before I can remember. Right.
Yeah.
The early days. So not that I can think of. I'm also excited for this. I have to assume they're going to go back to the RPG, big scale and scope.
They might,
thing. That's what I'm thinking they kind of have to do with this. I don't know if the Assassin's Creed Mirage template would really work for this with the expectation.
Sure.
So I'm stoked to see more on this game. I'm very interested.
Yeah, me too. Another one that I would be stoked to see is, and again, this maybe is more of a dream scenario, but still, I'm going to keep putting it out there. We keep hearing rumors of Splinter Cell. One of these days, man. And I think, again, with the success of Mirage, like, you can do, like, or in Outer Worlds, you can do, like, a 20-hour single-player game, and it can be successful, and it can be good, and we can not have it be this thing where it's like, well, we never make it. It's like, no, you can, please.
Yeah.
I need to see Sam. I would love that so much. Just, because I'm worried that we're gonna, like, he's just been relegated to DLC, or it's like, oh, you can get like a costume of him in Assassin's Creed Shadows, and it's like Splinter Cell. It's like, oh, please, don't do that to me. I don't know what the over/under is on that, but like, I'm still hopeful that we'll get something, anything, Splinter Cell related. What do you think the chances are of that?
Hard to say. I would love to see more Splinter Cell. Heck, I'd even take another Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter. I would take that too.
Dude.
But yes. Splinter Cell, it's been a long time. I love those original OG Xbox games, and the chances of it coming back, I think are pretty good. I actually think it's pretty good. I think people have been crying and moaning for a new one for a long time, and I think that they do want to deliver that to the fans. I think the chances are very good that we'll see. Maybe it's not this year, maybe it's next year. I think eventually we will see that. But I love Splinter Cell. I would love that.
Yeah. The last major thing I want to talk about here, because unfortunately we only have so much time to talk about these things, but Star Wars Outlaws is imminent, and I think we see a lot. We've seen gameplay, we've seen cinematic trailers. I think we see some more of that, and maybe we get full commitment. Actually, no, I think it's coming in August 30th or something.
Cool.
So it's one of those things where it's like you want to show a lot, but like not show too much because it's coming soon. I don't know. I don't know what the strategy is on that, but I figured it was worth mentioning because it's like the next big Star Wars game that Ubisoft has been working on for a while.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we'll see. Are you going to be day one on that, Corey? What do you think?
No.
Yeah.
I don't. This game does not interest me.
Fair enough.
You know, it looks cool. It's very hard for me to get excited about Star Wars games anymore. I don't know why. I don't know. We'll see. I know this game is very hyped right now.
Yeah.
And it does look very cool, but it is just not on my radar, unfortunately.
Sure.
I failed to mention earlier, just real quick, I don't know what category this would fall in under today's discussion, but Amy Hennig's new World War II set Captain America and Black Panther game. I forgot to mention that, and
cool.
that might be like top 3 most anticipated games for me. Sorry, I didn't mean to randomly.
Oh, that's great.
Throw us off the tracks. I don't know who's publishing that. I can't remember if that's Ubisoft. I don't remember, but
yeah, I don't remember either.
I just wanted to get that in there, sneak that in.
Yeah,
because
good.
I'm hoping to see more. We got that trailer reveal, and I want to see gameplay.
Yeah, right. I agree. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say in the spirit of just like last minute things here, like literally, maybe Witcher 4 stuff, maybe, and then maybe some more on Monster Hunter Wilds. Hopefully, that would be excellent. But like I said before, Corey and I can talk about this stuff all day. And the fine folks at QCTV, they let us do this show, but we can't take over the entirety of the channel with us just going on and on and on about video games. But it's been so much fun. And like I said, we're going to come back in a couple of weeks and we'll kind of do like a debrief together, and it's going to be great. And we'll talk about what happened, what didn't. And yeah, it should be fun. It should be extra special. But Corey, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being my co-host as always. It's a pleasure to hang out with you.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you, Jimmy. It's been fun.
Yeah, I just, E3, even if it's not called E3, it'll always be E3 in my heart. And of course, as I joke about Corey, right when I move out to California, they're like, we're not really doing this stuff. I'm like, I'm here. Please don't. I want to walk the halls.
And we'll do a follow-up show in the studio in late June, early July, and we'll talk about, we'll see how we did. We'll see how our predictions panned out and what was announced and what wasn't, and we'll have a little scorecard. So
yeah. It should be very exciting. It should be very, very exciting. Well, thank you, dear viewers, for watching. And until next time, we will see you in the next one. And take care. Bye-bye.